Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to Navigation, the Human Design Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon McAllister. I'm a human design embodiment coach and the creator behind the Rebel Soul Journey. I firmly believe that all of us came here with a bit of a rebel soul. We are here to follow our soul and let our soul lead us. And just by being here on the planet, we have been programmed and conditioned through many avenues, whether it's media, our teachers, our parents, different ways in which we were brought up. But each of us has a unique energetic blueprint that we came here to express and cause and create new ways of being on the planet. And so by diving into your human design, you learn how to lead yourself and be led through your soul self. So, over the next 64 weeks, I'm going to be diving into the gates of human design, and you can follow along over on social media. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at the Rebel Soul Journey, and we'll have a lot of information over there. But today we are going to be talking about the projector energy type. And projectors are our guides. They are here to really guide us into the new ways of being. They have this aura that is very focused and absorbing. They can really feel the other, and they are able to channel and have these really cool downloads and just know in their being what someone else needs guidance on. They're able to recognize the other, but they're also here to be recognized as our teachers, as our guides, as the new path pavers. And so, projectors, their strategy is to wait for the invitation because projectors are the guides, because they have all this wisdom and knowledge. We all don't like unsolicited advice, right? And so, especially as a projector, you might be one of those people who have this knowing. Say you're talking to a friend about who they're dating, and you just blurt out, you shouldn't date them. They're bad for you, X, Y, and Z. And you give them all the reasons, and it's beautiful wisdom, and you're spot on, and you know it. But that friend doesn't listen to you. And maybe a week later, that friend comes back to you and they're like, oh, I broke up with so and so because Julie told me to last week and I really took her advice to heart. And you're like, what? I told you that. And it's because that friend didn't ask for your advice. So the key is to wait for someone to either recognize you or invite you to speak. And this can be very hard for projectors because we live in a society that wants us to initiate and go after and charge ahead and, bully our way through and bulldoze our way through. But you're here to kind of sit back and recognize your own self first. When you see your gifts, when you know you have the knowledge, when you feel anchored in your own knowingness of how to guide yourself, you're then able, because you have this like absorbing aura, you draw people into you because you're recognizing yourself. You draw the right people to you that need to hear your advice. And when I say waiting for an invitation or recognition, this can come up in many different ways. I don't want you to think that you have to wait on the couch for some snail mail. Like, that's not how this happens. An invitation can be as simple as someone saying, oh, you know a lot about mental health. That's your expertise. Bam, share your knowledge. Or, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or a question about their life circumstance. Or for a projector, if you are a content creator or a coach, having someone purchase your course or your content or, get in your community, that's also an invitation or recognition. So there's ways to look at this that you are invited to share and show up and guide others versus just going out and word vomiting on everyone because you do know and you want to help and you have such a big heart and soul that wants to guide others. But the key for you is learning patience and waiting for that invitation and recognition. And that comes a lot faster when you recognize yourself first, when you know in your bones what you are knowledgeable and wise about and your lived experiences, and you've guided yourself out of the dark to the light, or from a depressive episode into a regenerative period of or season. You have the lived experience and the knowledge to guide others, and when you recognize yourself and you know that, people will come to you and ask for your advice. So my mom is actually a projector, and she is so intuitive and such a guide. And I even see this in our own relationship. When she gives me unsolicited advice, I'm like far less receptive and I don't really listen. But when I go to her and I ask her a question, I take to heart what she shares with me so much, because she has that focus absorbing aura. She's giving me her attention and her guidance, and I feel it. I feel that exchange. And so this is very potent energy for projectors. And it's just the part of life, right? We have to learn patience and we have to learn to recognize ourselves first. And so with projectors, there's a few authority types. If you want a free reading, I have them on my website at the Rebel Soul, www.therebelsouljourney.com, and you can get a free reading. But that will let you know your energy type, authority, your profile lines, and just really give you some basic information. If you want to dive even deeper into your chart, then you can get an intuitive human design reading with me called Vision Quest. But so authorities, we'll go over these in a different episode, but some authorities that a projector can have is an emotional authority. So that is an emotional wave. You'll learn to ride your highs, your lows, and get to a place of neutrality. So emotionals have a defined solar plexus, and they are here to ride their emotional wave and get to a place of neutrality, and then make that big decision like, I'm going to move here. I'm going to apply to this school. I'm going to apply to this job, the big life decisions. Many projectors are splenic. So this is your spleen center. It's very intuitive. You will hear a whisper, a nudge. You might have sensations, but this is going to say it once, and it's going to say it very confidently, and you can't recall it. So you have to just learn how to trust that spleen and trust that present moment that it's telling you to make certain decisions. Or there's an ego projected projector, which is you speak your decisions out loud and listen to see if it is the best and right decision for you. And then there is a mental projector. So about 22 to 25% of the population are projectors. And really, projectors, like I said, are here to guide. And I almost see them as like our maestros. There are directors, they're managing, and they're guiding all of the energy, all the other energy types, and letting us know how we could each play a vital role to create this amazing symphony here on planet Earth. As a projector, your awareness and sensitivity of and different perspectives that you hold really allow you to see the different systems and really read other people, because you have that focused, absorbing aura. You're then able to tune into what's actually going on in the systems and with other people, and how are they interacting, and what's off kilter, and how can we change that so our symphony sounds like it's in harmony. You have this unique gift that you must recognize yourself internally first, and then wait for the right people to see that brilliance in you, and then invite you to bestow your knowledge on them. You are the ultimate guide for the entire tribe and the future of leadership. With a focus and absorbing aura, you can really see into the other. You focus inward to see yourself first, and then you're invited by the other energy types to guide them towards increased sustainability, synergy, and coherence in navigating their own energy. What should they focus on? Because you're so good at seeing it for yourself and in the world, you're then able to say, hey, this is out of alignment. This system isn't working. You're good at this. You're good at this. You do this. You do this. Now everything's working in coherence. Now there's synergy. I like to think of this too as almost like the queen bee of a beehive. You know, bees are one of the only natural forming hierarchies. So it's, yes, there's the queen bee, but she's more just like the leader making sure things are getting done. She's not really like strict and rigid. It's every bee knows they have their own special skill set and their own special job. And that's why the beehive is buzzing and they're able to create that beautiful honey. And so projectors, I almost see as like that queen bee of like, she just knows what's working. She knows and feels what's off. And she is then able to go in and fix and guide and get the bees back on that synergy coherence track. So the key for projectors is really tuning into your strategy and authority, that authority, whatever that may be. So pull up your reading, pull up your chart, and then you are able to access the other people's energy correctly and know what is best and right for them because you just have this inner knowing and you're able to channel. So I hope that projectors or friends and family members of projectors, I hope this gives you a little bit more insight. But projectors are meant to have a little bit more time alone. They're here to really, tune in and wait for that invitation and recognition. And when they're making decisions in the correct way and they're sharing their knowledge in the right way and guiding others after they receive that recognition and invitation, their soul signature is success. They're meant to have success and feel success. And if they're not living in alignment, they're bitter. They're super bitter because they just know things. And when people aren't listening to them because they're not waiting for that invitation, that makes them super bitter. I get a lot of projectors as clients, and I love projectors. They're such different energy types than a lot of the others because they also have the most differentiation in their authority. They're one of the ones that have many different avenues of what their authority can look like. So every projector is even different. And for projectors, when I've seen them really step in and recognize themselves, like I know one of my clients, she started to recognize herself and she knew her stuff and she worked her own self and guided her own self out of some pretty dark times. And she started to show up on TikTok and she started to get this success and this momentum. And it was really cool because she even said, I feel successful right now because I know I'm using my energy correctly and I'm following my strategy and authority correctly. And for her, she was a splenic. So it's all about the intuition and listening to those pings and those whispers and having confidence in that. And she was like, yeah, and now I see it because in the past, I would just speak and say things when I wasn't even recognizing myself and I wasn't getting the invite. And I felt so bitter in my life. And I was like, that's so beautiful. What a beautiful reflection to like look at your life and see, okay, when I follow my strategy and authority, I feel success and that feels good in my body. And when I'm not following my strategy and authority, I feel bitterness and that doesn't feel good in my body. And when we start to learn how that feels somatically and the things that we're actually experiencing and the wisdom of our body and our soul, our whole lives can change. And now she's guiding women and she's super successful and she's making such a huge impact because projectors are here to guide. So again, I hope this episode helped. If you are not following me already, head over to @the Rebel Soul Journey on TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be launching 64 weeks of the gates, and each week will focus on a new gate. I hope you have a beautiful week, beautiful soul. Until the next episode.